Hello, everyone. Once again, how about that? I didn't think it was going out, and I never got any notifications. So anyway, you don't need to know all that. But I found out that I something was messed up. But anyway, we're going to try it again. So my name is Doug Wilkerson. I'm with Central Christian Center here in Joplin. I'm also with Saturday Night Live Life Recovery Ministry. We are our desire is to try to help you to navigate through life, deal with life's messes, and hopefully with this encouraging word from Doug that I will be able to give you hopefully some encouragement, some hope, some grace to find your way through the minefield, so to speak. So thank you for being with us. Today's title is The Science of Happiness. How happy are you? That's what we're going to be talking about today. I've been wanting to get to the science of happiness. I taught a class several years ago, and actually I taught it several times, and I've been wanting to get back to it, and it just was really on me this past week. And so I'm actually not even teaching anything that was in that class, but it kind of pulled me into it. And I think I'll be addressing some of those things maybe next week or in the future. So hopefully this is beneficial with you or for you. But the key point I wanted to get about this is backed up with scientific research to showing the benefits of happiness, how it can help you and be a benefit for you. All right. So, and what happiness means different things to different people, and that happiness can bring more fulfillment in your life. Well, now, a lot of us, particularly here in the United States, we have a particular definition of happiness, and that we see happiness. We think of happiness as being more of a feeling. But today, I'm going to be talking about it from a different perspective, and that addressing it also with a little scientific research to kind of back up what I'm saying. There are different types of happiness. There are all kinds of types of happiness. And I'm just going to name off a few here. And that is joy, excitement, gratitude, pride, optimism, contentment, love, just to name a few. Each person has a unique way of being happy, and that we really need to become self-aware so that we really know kind of what we need to be at the level that we want to be at contentment, peace, tranquility, to have that what we're calling happiness. Okay, I want to read a scripture here. This is out of Psalms 37. 3 and 4, and probably many of you are familiar with it. And it says, trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and befriend faithfulness. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. I'm going to back up and kind of tear this apart just a little bit. It may not mean as much to you as it will be when I get done, hopefully. And it says, trust in the Lord. Trust in the Lord is a doing statement. We do something, okay? Do good. That's, again, doing. Do good. When we do good, we receive benefits from it because we are doing good. When we do evil or bad, we feel negative about it. We have our conscience affect us. Okay, so do good. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land. Dwell in the land. Again, that's another doing statement. That's making a choice where you're going to be. Dwelling in that land. And befriend faithfulness. In other words, make a choice to have a relationship with faithfulness, being loyal, faithful. And then if you do that, says again, verse 4 says, delight yourself. Again, that's a doing statement. It's a choice of delighting. Some people just make a choice to be miserable, to suffer, to just be negative. And here out of Psalms, it says delight. Choose to delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart, which is emotion or feeling, the desires of your heart. He is there to give that to you. We connect by making our choices. There's a lot of people that just somehow they think that they can be passive in our relationship with God, and somehow it's going to sweep up over us and take us. Yeah, he's there to help us, to intervene in our lives, but the fact of it is, he will not force you to delight yourself in the Lord. He will not make you have a relationship with you. By the way, any other relationship you have on earth here, do you ignore it? Are you passive? Or do you have to intentionally choose to engage? Just a thought, all right? And if you are passive, if you ignore the relationship, how does that make you feel? How does that work out for you? Okay, do you get what you think that you want? Unless you're wanting misery and suffering. So maybe you get that. So anyway, let's go forward. I wanted to read a quote here by Aristotle, and he says, happiness is the meaning and purpose of life. Hold on. Let's finish the quote, and then we're going to talk about it. The whole aim and end of human existence. Now, Aristotle, how he looked at happiness was that he looked at happiness as being a byproduct of meaning and purpose. Okay? That if we have meaning and purpose in our life, then we will be happy. It's a byproduct. You then will have what he called you will live life well, or have a good life. Okay? There was a university that did a study about happiness, and there's been a lot of studies. This is just one of them, but I thought this would be a good one to use today. And in this study, they took two groups of people. The first group, they took them and actually they measured both groups, their happiness level. Okay, they got the kind of the baseline. And then they took the first group and they gave them a substantial amount of money and told them they could spend that money on whatever they wanted, spend it on themselves. They went, they bought whatever they wanted. They enjoyed themselves by spending money on themselves, retail fun, I guess you might call it. And they came back and they reported in and they measured their happiness level, and it was extremely high. They were feeling very happy about. They got all this money and they got to choose wherever they wanted. So they had a lot of endorphins popping in their system. And then they had them come back the next day and they measured them again. And their happiness level was the same as it was in the very beginning. So they started off at a particular level, they went extremely high, and then they went down by the next day. The second group, they gave them some money, same amount of money, but they told them that they had to spend it on someone else. They had to either give it to somebody, buy something for somebody. They had to, whatever they did with it, as long as it wasn't for themselves, they had to do it for someone else. And so they sent them on their way. They went out, they took that amount of money, and they did various different things with the money. They came back, they measured their happiness level, and they were, like the first group, extremely high. They were excited about what they were able to do. They went home that night. They came back the next day, and they measured their happiness level. Their happiness level wasn't as high as it was the night before, but it was still pretty high overnight. And they had them come back a week later, and they were still higher than they were originally. And so the point of the story here is that doing something for somebody else and being kind to somebody else actually had long-term benefits for the individual, instead of being self-centered and selfish, which there was nothing wrong with it. It was a certain amount of pleasure, but it was short-term pleasure, which we'll be talking more about that here in a moment. So, of course, there are a number of different kinds of happiness, and each person has different unique needs and ways of being happy. And so we have to become self-aware so that we can understand how and what we need to do to be able to satisfy or strengthen our happiness quotient and contentment for each individual. There are four main types of happiness we're going to be talking about. Broadly, we're going to be speaking about these four main types, and these are the types: pleasure, number 2, passion, number 3, purpose, number 4, ultimate good. We'll start off with pleasure. Pleasure is important to every human being. That is part of our human mechanism to seek pleasure, okay? To seek pleasure and avoid pain. That's part of our survival skill. And but this pleasure, as far as the first main level or type of happiness, the benefits derived from that are short term, as we just illustrated in the research that we talked about. It's short term. Whether it's a delicious meal or a nice visit with someone or a meeting with friends or family or listening to music or something that you enjoyed, you did fire off endorphins that made you feel better, which we call happiness. But again, it's short term. In other words, for it to last, you have to keep doing it over and over and over. Okay, and then something that I don't know if I said this already, but to feel to have those endorphins, you have to have a variety of different things, and you can't be just the same thing over and over, or you'll get bored and you won't have the endorphins going off, and then you won't feel as happy. Okay, all right. Number 2 is passion. Being passionate about something, whether it's a hobby or a cause, a group, an activity, an event. This can make you be a source of happiness for you. And but again, it is these events and activities and hobbies are they're beneficial. They give you that endorphin high at the moment, but again, it's short term and doesn't provide you that sense of achievement that a lot of us really want. But that's number 2. Now, number 3 is purpose. Okay, purpose is feeling like you're a part of something bigger than yourself, okay? And that that your action really means something, and that you matter. You make a difference. You have this deep sense inside of yourself of fulfillment and a fulfillment of a longing of happiness. Okay, in other words, you feel that self-satisfaction of this purpose, and then even possibly you might even feel that this sense of meaning of maybe a personal calling that that you feel that you should do, or really gives you a real source of satisfaction, and that you can be a part of a team or a group or an organization that makes a difference. The group and the team will make a difference, and because of your participation, you have made a difference. And if you do that, then the chances are that you'll have that feeling of true happiness. Okay? All right? I'm happy because I have that inner fulfillment. Number 4, ultimate good. Now, this is a fundamental desire of every human being to look for truth, goodness, beauty, and love. I'm gonna read those again. That it's a fundamental desire we all have as human beings to seek out or look for truth, goodness, beauty, and love. A lot of people find this form of happiness through their religious beliefs, through church, through connections with church groups, prayer, Bible study, those type of things, because they affect you internally. They, as I talked about last week, which a lot of this information parallels with what I've talked about in the last 2 weeks. Okay, I really didn't realize that until as I was going through this information. But truth is truth, right? So now there are those that may not believe in God or may not believe in a higher power, but that's all right. If they really wanted to, if they wanted to get better and be happier, they could pursue these things that we're talking about, and that is truth, beauty, love, and goodness. And in doing that, be able to help themselves and also help others. Does that make sense? That would make them happier, but it also would help their life. Their life would become better, and because all those things that we're talking about are godly traits. And remind me of a scripture that we talked about, maybe a month ago in Saturday Night Live out of Corinthians, that talked about the unknown God, that made the statement that this idol or making known of the unknown God was that it was God's attempt to provide a way that people would feel their way towards Him. And so I'm saying that God's working in all kinds of ways to help you and me and those that may not even know that God is intervening in their lives, because that's God's grace. Anyway, just a thought. So the desire to be happy is deep and fundamental, and that we oftentimes, when we're miserable and upset, oftentimes we'll find different coping mechanisms to try to make ourselves not feel so unhappy and to avoid. You know what I'm talking about? Whether it's drugs, alcohol, or acting out in all kinds of different ways. Instead of going to seek seek those 4 things that I was talking about. I have actually eight items that are suggestions to kind of help you to find positive things to help you to maybe turn yourself into more of positive light, and then also, yes, then be happier. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to save that till next week, and we'll go over that because I've gone almost 20 minutes here already, and I want to conclude with that scripture that we started with out of Psalms 37, 3 and 4. And it says, trust in the Lord. Again, that's doing. Trust in the Lord and do good. We ought to always try to do good. Whatever we do, we need to be biased towards the good. Because, why? Not because somebody has told us to, it's because it benefits us. If you do evil or bad, it will steal that inside of you. You will not be firing endorphins, okay? You'll be firing other things in your system that negatively affects you, okay? So dwell in the land and befriend faithfulness. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Some might ask the question, well, how can he do that? Well, because he can and he will. He has in the past for you, whether you realize it or not. Think about it. Sometimes we don't recognize the benefits that we have received from him, the grace, divine moments, those times that he's intervened in our life. We can look back and we can see him if we look close enough. So today, thank you for listening. And I just want to say, you want to be happier. It's not a feeling. It's a lifestyle. And if you help other people and you work with them and maybe meet their need, your need will be met. So may the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you and give you peace. Make healthy choices. Thanks for listening. Take care of yourself. Have a good day.